ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्रचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यभिमः योगीव यस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ वर्स 39 आत्मन्येवाखिलं दृश्यं प्रविलाप्य धिया सुधीः भावयेदेकमात्मानं निर्मलाकाशवत् सदा. So Shankaracharya ji talks about Nididhyasanam in these verses, beginning from verse 31, and it will go up to verse 41. And this Nididhyasanam is based upon that the student who has received the knowledge from the teacher, and that is in the form of two things. Shravanam, that is nothing but understanding the purport of the Shastra, and Mananam also. Mananam means doubts regarding the subject matter. Independently you may have certain doubts, or from the varieties of the different thinkers talk about like regarding Ishvara, let's say. Regarding Ishvara one may have a doubt, because somebody talks Ishvara is like this, somebody says Ishvara is like this, somebody says there is no Ishvara, etc., etc. There is no cause of the creation, somebody says. So, well, all these things when we listen, we also have a certain doubts. And therefore, those doubts has to be resolved properly. So, generally this kind of doubts arise from contemporary thinkers. Like, Rajneesh says something regarding Ishvara, and Veda says something differently. Let's say, assume that way. Krishnamurti says something else. Somebody comes and says something else. Or even in different darshanas, philosophies have a different idea. Like Vishishtadvaitin says, Jiva is a amsha of a Narayana or the Ishvara. Even Jagat also is a amsha, part of the Ishvara, non-separate. Yeah, amsha is always a non-separate from the amshi. A part is always non-separate from the whole. A Pennsylvania state is non-separate from the United States, right? And therefore it's a part, but it is non-separate. So they say, yeah, Jiva is non-separate from Ishvara. But you don't equate Jiva and Ishvara are one, identical. Just because of ignorance, Jiva considers himself as a different from Ishvara. No, there is nothing like that. So it creates a doubt. So definitely all these doubts also has to be resolved. And then the same teaching which is clear, now he revels on the teaching. That's called Nididhyasana. So basically you see the meaning again and again of all the regarding the self, whatever has been taught to you. And when one revels on this teaching for some time, then one's personality gets synced totally, in the process. So, Akhilam Drashyam Atmani Pravilapya, I the Atma alone is Satyam. So, entire universe is this Mithya Nama Rupa. So, they appear in me, but they can't do anything to me because they are mithya. Like entire dream world is experienced by me, Several kinds of things are happening I met with an accident in the dream, and I was totally lot of blood loss and so much, and they were taking me in ambulance, everything, and you just got up and you don't find even a simple scare on your body, and so where is the question of blood, lot of loss of blood? Nothing is there. That is how it is. So basically, the entire creation, and especially here, in terms of this body, mind, sense complex, they cannot harm anything to you. That is the consciousness. So, because the body, mind, sense complex is basically unreal. They are non-separate from me, but they are unreal. They are sustained by me. I sustain them. I lend them an existence. I lend them a consciousness, and that is how they function. In my presence, they function. So these things should be seen positively in this dhyana. Vedantic meditation, this is the difference between us and yogis. Vedantic meditation involves thoughts. So, and they say, thoughts has to be removed. Samadhi means thoughts have to go. We say, without thoughts, no nididhyasanam can take place. So, aham satyam jagan mithya, this is pravilapana. This is called pravilapana, means resolving. Resolving everything. Not by destroying something, resolving cognitively. That I am resolving pot into clay. I am resolving a wave into water. This is called resolution. Same way, entire creation is like a wave, and I resolve it into a consciousness like water. So this is we should understand them as a mithya. So dissolving this world into the observer, which I observe. Observer is saying a consciousness, and seeing this fact that world can't basically exist separate from me. So it is nama rupatmakam. And how many observers are there? Definitely one is one observer. In terms of consciousness, there is one consciousness in which everything is located. How it is located? Nirmala akashavat sada. All observed things are located in me, and I am like a akasha. That's how they use the word chidakasha. So chidakasha, that word you might have heard. So consciousness is like a space, all pervasive, in which everything is located. And how it is located, just as an ornament is located in a gold. That's how it is located. Just as a wave is located in a water, same way it is located. Now let's go to verse 40. Rupa varnadikam sarvam vihaya paramarthavit paripurna chidananda sarupena vatisthate. Paramarthavit. Paramartham vetti iti paramarthavit. Bhagavan has used the word vedavit in chapter 15. Vedam vetti iti vedavit. One who knows Veda. One who knows the essence of the Veda is a vedavit. Same way here, paramarthavit. One who knows the paramartha. So what is paramartha? Artha means basically substance, reality. And paramartha. So parama means, it is ultimate. So one who knows ultimate reality is called paramarthavit. I mean jnani, pandita. Why ultimate reality? Why don't you say reality? Why are you using unnecessary adjectives? Because already we have a certain reality in our mind. It is not notional, but it is there. And therefore, we have body is real, senses are real, everything is real, even the thought is real. That's how we are so much bothered by our own thoughts. Even though it is going to stay for just a second, but we give so much reality that so they don't go easily then. If you don't give reality, then they are dropped immediately. There are thousands and thousands of thoughts passing, in a waking state. We don't bother. But some thought occurs and then you give so much reality to it, and you are buried into that. And then that thought remains there. And therefore, so basically we give reality to everything. We give reality to outside world, whatever I experience. We give reality to the instruments of knowledge used for observing this creation. And body, etc. also I give reality. Attributes of the body are real. Yeah, I am male. If somebody questions this, that how can you say you are male? Well, you don't like such kind of a question. Well, definitely. Or you are female, whatever. So for us, it is so much real. Everything is so real. That's how they have to say ultimate real. That's how they have to use. Otherwise, they should not use this word paramartha. They should say artha. They should say simply reality. But well, definitely, because what is non-substantial namarupa, well, that has become so substantial for me. Actually, substantiality of the world belongs to the I, the consciousness. Again, bring dream. Again, bring dream. The whole dream world looks very, very real, very concrete. Everything so concrete. And well, but it is nothing but a simple thought. Simple thought. And when one wakes up, then realize, oh, it was nothing but just a few thoughts. Nothing else. And it resolves into me. So the waker as though manifesting to the dream world and the dreamer, and then it appears also because of the ignorance, it appears so real. But ultimately the reality of the entire dream ocean, dream mountains and the dreamer and dream objects and dream cows and dream roads and dream ocean, everything. The reality is just waker. That's all. Nothing else. And therefore, this is how the whole creation right now looks very, very real. But the reality, the substantiality is this Brahman. There is nothing other than that. There is nothing other than the existence and consciousness which is substantial in the creation. Anything you can pick up and you will find existence and consciousness. Bhati, getting illumined. And this illumined also we have to see. To illumine basically means to make any object known. If I say clip illumines, clip is illumined by me, means clip is made known by me. That's all it is. Nothing else. Here illumination not in terms of that some kind of a tube light, no, it is illuminating the clip. Same way consciousness is illuminating something like it. No. Because of the consciousness, I know the clip. That's all. So basically, and that is how we define light in Vedanta. Light means basically by which a thing is known. That is our definition. And that definition covers everything. All the lights. Physical lights called sun or a moon. Forget about moon, but sun or maybe lightning. And moon of course has a borrowed light, but let's take it. Okay. Sun, moon, and then our fire and then lightning. All this physical. And then senses, they are also light, because by which something is known is light. Then eyes also is a light, because of eyes I know the form, etc. Because of ears I know the sound, and therefore senses are also called light. And then our inference is also light. Yeah, by inference I know a fire on the mountain. So and then presumption also is a light. Any means of knowledge by which you will know the thing. And therefore any means of knowledge also is considered as a light in Vedanta. Anyway, that's how, they all are jyotis. They are all lights. But basically, Atma is a Swayam Jyoti. Atma is the ultimate, it's a self-revealing thing. All other things are revealed by ultimately Atma. A sense is also, those lights also are revealed by Atma. And outside also everything is revealed by Atma, and that is how it has been said, na tatra suryo bhati, na chandra tarakam, etc., etc. Anyway, so the whole world basically borrows substantiality from other reality from I. So you just think, one thing simply, suppose existence is given by this, the Atma, the consciousness. So well, consciousness, existence and consciousness, that is Atma, that is Brahman, pervades this. Now if I just take away existence from this, what remains? Nothing. And therefore existence and illumination, it is revealed also. Both the things are basically pervading the entire thing. Even though it appears so solid, right? So solid thing. But basically if you take away the existence from that, nothing remains. It becomes zero. So that is how. Anyway, so the whole world borrows this reality from I, and therefore I am the final reality. Param Artha, Paramartha. And one who knows like this consciousness alone lends the existence and consciousness both to the entire world. Brahman alone lends this. That person is called Paramarthavit. And what he should do if he wants to, abide in this knowledge, well, Rupa Varnadikam Sarvam Vihaya, we are doing, Nididhyasanam. So here it says Rupa Varnadikam Sarvam Vihaya. He should deliberately negate what? Rupam, individuality superimposed upon himself, caused by, physical body, subtle body. What he can, by Rupam we can, let's take, as such Rupam, here Rupam and Varnam, two things are there. Now we will have to divide into this. So under Rupam we can take all attributes of gross body as well as gross body itself. So like, sex, height, weight, age, complexion, and then, looks, caste, and stage in life, or ashrama, etc. All this belongs to ultimately Sthula Sharira. And Sukshma Sharira also, like senses, the power of the senses, etc. or their capacity, I superimpose upon myself. Seeing takes place by the eyes, but I say I am a seer. So that also I superimpose. The activity of the sense organs I superimpose upon myself. So let's take this into Rupam. And then Varnam. Varnam is basically, complexion, etc. we can take. Varnam, let's take the attributes of emotional attributes. Emotional attributes we can take. Intellectual attributes also we can take. And so, let us negate all of them. Rupa Varnadikam Vihaya. May you deliberately negate all these things. And where it has been negated in Nirvana Shatakam. All the first, in every shloka, the first 3 lines negation. And 4th line is just a repetition. That's all. 4th line is my nature. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. So basically negation. Negation is the only thing I am going to explain you here, because I am self-evident. Nothing has to be done. But that I am which is self-evident, you are not taking it as it is. You are taking, because I am becomes a adhara. And because there is a self-ignorance. And therefore, even though self-evident, but self-ignorant. And therefore, you don't take yourself as a Brahman. And therefore, Shastra has to tell you, Shastra has to negate. Because I am already has become a adhara for all false notion. And therefore, Shastra's job is to negate all the notions. Then, you are revealed. Your real nature is revealed. So, this is how it is. And therefore, Shastra also do not reveal Brahman. Anyway, that will come. So, in Nididhyasanam, 2 aspects are there. By Nirvana Shatakam, a lot of people are doing Nididhyasanam through Nirvana Shatakam. Very good. It's a very nice. So, 2 things are there. One is a negation in the first 3 lines of every stanza. And the 4th line is a assertion. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivam. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivam is a natural outcome after negation. When you say I am not body, I am not this, I am not this, then only consciousness is left, because you know you are conscious being. Well, you have not to ask to anybody. You have not to ask to your husband or wife whether I am a conscious being or not. You have not to ask to a world. You know you are a conscious being because self-revealing it is. But you take as yourself as a being. You take as a one living being because of the association with the body. So that has to be negated. That's all. Therefore, what is left over is consciousness, limitless consciousness, because body has a limitation. And identifying with the body, you take yourself as a limited being. And so once you say, I am not this physical body, well, I am not these 5 elements. Very first verse says in Nirvana Shatakam, I am not 5 elements. Means what? I am not the gross body. I am not the subtle body. So there is a limitation. And you are self-revealing. You are self-conscious. So in no verse you will find that consciousness is negated. To negate consciousness, they need another consciousness. And therefore, basically, consciousness cannot be negated. To negate consciousness, one cannot negate the negator of everything. You cannot negate the negator of everything. Try to negate the negator. Please, try. The whole night will go and tomorrow also will go. No class. You will keep on negating. I am not, or he is not, she is not. But ultimately the conscious being is one who negates everything. has to be there. That's how we even discard this Buddha's, Shunyavada also. Of course, we have discussed anyway. So what I am saying is, a conscious being is one which cannot be negated. And therefore, in every stanza, you will find the fourth line is an assertion. I mean, assertion means, may you now get abidance into your nature, that is Chidananda Rupa. Until today, you are saying that you are not, you are Achit, and you are basically, you are very unhappy person, you are very limited person, you are not comfortable with yourself, you are a mortal being, and you are having a lot of likes and dislikes and this and that and what not. And I am basically subject to Punya Papa. So many notions. All negation. One who is expert in negating these attributes is very close to one's nature. You have not to be, because that is self-revealing and nothing is to be revealed. Only keep negating. That's the only moksha. One who should, basically, anyway, I will talk after it is going to come. So anyway, so negation and assertion. I have to keep some material for later verses also. Anyway, so what I am not, Shankaracharya puts in 3 lines in Nirvana Shatakam. And 4th line is just my nature, which is self-revealing. Chidananda Rupa means limitless consciousness is my Rupam Swarupam. So Vihaya, Rupa Varnadikam Vihaya. Negate all the attributes as well as the bodies of that attributes. Negate all the bodies, and negate the attributes of the bodies. Vihaya, by negating. Then what is left over? Paripurna Chidananda Swarupena. Well, I should repeat this. I don't miss anything in my life. Paripurna Chidananda Rupena. I don't miss anything. Just keep on, even while you are active, if your mind demands something, you just say, Swamiji, it is a brainwash. Don't worry about brainwash. If the brainwash has to be done, actually. Anyway, but say that. I don't miss anything in my life. Well, everything exists in me. Everything is non-separate from me. I only exist in all the forms. Just say, Swamiji, but I don't appreciate it. Don't worry about it. So that is how Bhaktas have reached to Ishvara. Having just faith in the teacher's words or a Shastra's word. Who has seen Ishvara? Suppose, I am saying you, who has seen Ishvara? But people do lots of bhakti day in and day out. Having a faith in the words of teacher or Acharya and the faith in Shastra, they keep doing bhakti. They take a surrender. And they definitely, they get whatever they want. Ultimately, they also attain Ishvara. So that is how it is. So keep repeating, keep doing that. Well, I don't miss anything. Swamiji, you are putting everything from your pocket. No, it is not from my pocket. Honestly, I am telling you, it has been discussed. The whole chapter has been devoted in Panchadashi for this. Whole chapter. And the chapter 9 is devoted for this. Well, if one cannot appreciate one is not able to sit in Nididhyasanam, one need not worry at all. Just need not worry. Just keep on repeating while doing any kind of chores in a day. Just repeating. Keep on repeating this. I am limitless consciousness. I am attributeless consciousness. I am free from birth and death, etc. Keep repeating. That's all. That's called Nirguna Brahma Upasana, and that's wonderful thing, which will remove sins. Ultimately, it will remove, because Upasana is a karma, and it will remove all obstacles, and you will be able to appreciate in a Nididhyasanam later. So nothing to worry about. Paripurna Chidananda Sarupena. I should repeat, I don't miss anything in my life. I have no inadequacy. So Chidananda Sarupa, I am Chit, I am nature of consciousness, and Ananda means limitless fullness. And that's how some acharyas, while prescribing techniques of meditation, especially guided meditations, Nididhyasanam, they keep smiling face naturally, because what I am supposed to think is that I am Ananda Sarupa. With a frown face, I cannot tell that I am Ananda Sarupa. And therefore, so even acharyas keep a smiling face, so that at least if you are seeing acharya's face, and you will have some satisfaction that he is also Ananda Sarupa and I am also Ananda Sarupa. Anyway, Avadishthate means abides. he abides in this Ananda Swarupa. I am full. I don't lack anything. I am lacking something is a notion. That's all. I am lacking something is a notion. Because whenever I feel a lack within, there is uneasiness. And therefore it must be not my nature. I must be full by nature. Thus, repeat this way. Whenever a lack arises in me, a limitation arises in me, pertaining to anything, pertaining to physical body, pertaining to mind, pertaining to senses, pertaining to prana, anytime, when a lack arises, I am uncomfortable. I want to get rid of that lack. Well, therefore it is not your nature. It's not your nature. And whenever, a lack goes also, that uneasiness goes. And then in absence of uneasiness also you are there. And therefore basically it is not your nature. Then why to worry about? Why to worry about? Even if that sense has arisen of a lack, etc., nothing to worry. Drop it. No, but I am not able to drop it. Don't worry at all. Say that it is not my nature. That much you say. It is not my nature. But Swamiji, I had a lot of problems with relatives and all that, especially this and that. And well, I am Asanga. I have no connection with anybody. I am like a space. I have no connection anything. Like a space has no connection with anything. It accommodates everything. Similarly, I accommodate everything. Nothing is away from the consciousness. Well, I cannot find a boundary of a consciousness and object. There is a consciousness and then object, which is away from that. Well, you cannot find. Everything is ultimately in consciousness and space consciousness. Well, and time consciousness and this consciousness and that consciousness. Means you are conscious of space. You are conscious of time. You are conscious of earth. You are conscious of the people. You are conscious of everything. And therefore everything is in consciousness. And well, I am that consciousness. But Swamiji, I am not able to just see that I am conscious. But I am not telling you that you see that. You just repeat this. I am consciousness. Bas. And don't murmur also. Just in the mind. Like, if you are doing Shri Krishna, like Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, Shri Krishna Sharanam Mama, so same way, like Namah Shiva, etc. Keep repeating in the mind. This is Nirgun Brahma Upasana. Keep doing that. That will also help. Anyway, so here, Paripurna Chidananda Swarupena Avatishthate. So this is how, I am fullness. I am Avatishthate. I abide in my own nature. And whenever I am happy, whenever I am full, I remain with myself, and therefore that must be my nature. Verse 41. Jnatru-jnana jneya bhedah parenatmani vidyate chidanandaika rupatvat dipyate swayamevahi. Now here Shankaracharya ji talks about a difference of a Vedantic meditation, that is Nididhyasanam and Upasanam. Basically other type of meditation that we call as a Upasanam. So difference between a Nididhyasanam and Upasanam has been talked here. What is the difference, main difference between these two? So meditation, basically Upasana involves three factors. So for, we call as a Savikalpaka Dhyanam. Well, in that, or Upasana, well, in that basically there is a deity, Upasya Devata is there. I remain as a meditator, Upasaka. So there is Upasaka, meditator, there is Upasya Devata, a form of Ishvara. And a mind also is, of course, an instrument in which the thought of Upasya Devata, etc. will be there. So three things are there, Dhyata, Dheya and Dhyana. So all the three things are involved, Triputi, and the triad is there. In case of Nididhyasanam, well, this division is not there. So I am, I'm Dhyata, that also is nothing but basically Chaitanya, consciousness. And the Dheyam also is the Chaitanya, right? What Atma Dhyana means what? What is the Dheyam? Atma. Who is Dhyata? Atma. And well, definitely, and in this case, definitely you don't have a thought. I will explain you, don't worry, because you will immediately jump. Because I only said that in Nididhyasanam thoughts are involved. But here, I'm explaining you, don't worry. So to basically what happens, when you objectify the Ishvara, when you Upasya Devata, etc. is there, so you require thought. Basically, you can't meditate without a thought. Means a thought should be in the form of that Ishvara. Form, any form. So mind basically takes a form of whatever the Upasya Devata is there. That should be there. Otherwise, how will you do the Dhyanam? So in Dhyanam, that kind of a thought is there. Well, object of that thought should be there, and that object is nothing but Upasya Devata. But in Atma Dhyanam, you don't require basically such instrument or a thought to make evident Atma. See, what happens is, suppose this is Upasya Devata, suppose, and I am meditating Upasya Devata. Then in my mind, the mind has to take the shape of this, and it should remain for a length of time, right? And then I say, well, I am doing a dhyanam of Upasya Devata. So mind has to take a shape of a thought. We call it thought. Mind has to modify into this form, Upasya Devata's form. And that is how Upasya Devata is revealed. If you remember, I have told you in the process of transaction, while I was discussing, I told you, basically, the consciousness, gets reflected in the mind. That becomes a knower, first thing. Then a thought arises pertaining to Upasya Devata. Suppose he takes thought means a particular form of Upasya Devata. The mind has modified into this form. And then in thought also, consciousness gets reflected, because it is ultimately mind. And therefore, so the object of that thought, object is nothing but in the thought form, will be immediately revealed by that Chidabhasa. Could you follow what I am saying? The Chidabhasa, the reflected consciousness, which gets reflected in the thought. But that thought is of which form? This form, right? A thought of a Upasya Devata form. And therefore, Chidabhasa reveals the thought, means Chidabhasa, reveals the object of the thought. And that is how, other than yourself, any other thing is there, basically the consciousness, the reflected consciousness has to reveal it. And therefore, whenever, suppose you are doing a dhyanam of a Vishnu. So Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma, etc. is there. But that form basically is inert, right? Made up of stone or anything. And you are, of course, superimposing upon that a Ishvaratvam, and you say it is a Ishvara or it is a Bhagavan, and then you worship it, you meditate it. And then your mind has to take the form of that Vishnu, and that's in that thought, reflected consciousness reveals that Vishnu. So basically, in a Upasana, the Dhyata is there, which is nothing but a reflected consciousness, the Chidabhasa. And then there is a thought, and that thought also basically of the shape of which has modified into this form, Upasya Devata's form. And Chidabhasa gets reflected, Chaitanya gets reflected, consciousness gets reflected, and definitely that object of meditation also is revealed. So Dhyata is there, required, Dhyanam, that is a thought, etc. also should be there, and Dhyayam, that object of meditation also is there. All the three are there. In case of Atma, it is different. Basically, you are self-conscious, self-revealing, and therefore, a vritti is required. A thought is definitely required. When I say you are Nitya, you are Shuddha, and definitely when I say you are, you say I am. And you say I am Nitya. By understanding what is I am Nitya, means I am timeless, etc. You are dropping one notion that I am a time bound. So this is a vritti. Please understand this. This is a vritti in your mind that I am time bound. I am talking about Nididhyasanam now. So when I say you are Nitya, you are timeless, basically you are conscious of the time. Time exists in consciousness. Consciousness does not exist in time, etc., etc. When I am saying, in your mind, thought has started forming. in that thought, basically you have already that self-revealing I am. Well, on that you have already superimposed that I am a time bound. I am having a birth. I am having this much age right now, or I am young, old, whatever. And so you have all these notions. And therefore, when I say you are Nitya, you are not time bound, basically by your thinking, you are dropping the notions pertaining to I am. But then Swamiji, all these thoughts are dropped pertaining to I am. Then what is left over? You tell me what is left over. You tell me. Therefore, thought does not reveal the Brahman which is Nityam. Thought basically helps you to drop the notion already you have built on the I am. I am is there already, which is self-revealing. But since your self-ignorance is there, you have already superimposed upon that I am mortal, I am time-bound, I am etc. I am having this much age, I am subject to birth and death, etc., etc. All these time-related things, you are already having a notion. So basically, when you, in a Nididhyasanam, when you do this, well, thoughts are there, but thoughts basically pertain to not revealing the Atma. Thoughts basically pertain to the negation of what you are not. And after dropping that, the self-revealing I, now you know as Nitya. I am timeless. Could you follow what I am saying? So timeless Atma cannot become an object of thought. Please understand that. Timeless Atma cannot become an object of thought. You are already self-revealing. On self-revealing I am, you have already superimposed few things. I am has become an Adhara. It's a locus of all the mistakes, and that mistakes are there because of the self-ignorance. All notions are there. And while doing Nididhyasanam, basically you are taking this particular word, I am Nitya, I am timeless. So, and you start thinking. So all the thoughts are there. That thought is not revealing thought is not revealing a timeless Atma. Thought is revealing basically, thought helps you to drop the notion that you are time bound. And then basically after dropping the notions with a clarity, yes, that I, the consciousness, is free from the time. Because I exist in deep sleep state without time. That shows my nature is basically free from the time. So I am timeless. So I am is already self-revealing. After dropping the notion that self-revealing Atma is understood as, not seen through the thought, that self-revealing Atma is understood as timeless. Could you follow what I am saying? I hope I have made you understood. Never think that people are really worrying all the time. How will through the thought a Brahman is revealed? It will never be revealed. What is revealed through the thought is always inert thing. Basically, I am the one who reveals the thought, and then object of thought is revealed by me, the consciousness, in form of a knower. So basically, objects of thought are all inert, and that Chidabhasa reveals all of them. It may be a pot, it may be a computer, it may be anything. Well, and anything should become a object of your knowledge. For that, it has to mind has to take that form. Mind has to modify it into that form, and then in that thought, basically consciousness is reflected, and through that Chidabhasa, any object is known to you. And definitely that proves that that object is not self-revealing. It is revealed through the thought. And that behind thought also there is a Chidabhasa. Thought also cannot reveal. Thought is an inert entity. It's a mind. Mind is made up of 5 elements. It is inert. And therefore basically it's a medium where consciousness gets reflected, and in that Chidabhasa basically an object is revealed. With that object which has taken the shape of that thought. Mind which has taken the shape of that thought, of the object, we call it as a thought. and then thought gets illumined by that Chidabhasa, and the object also gets illumined. That is the thing. Entire Anatma Prapancha, entire inert world is revealed through the thought. And not only thought, basically through the consciousness getting reflected in it. And therefore, but I, the consciousness, will get reflected in the thought, and I reveal entire Anatma Prapancha. Entire inert world is revealed by me. I am self-revealing. And I am self-revealing regarding that I am self-revealing. Well, that I am basically has become a locus for so many mistakes already, and because of the self-ignorance. And therefore, instead of taking as I am timeless, I take myself as a subject to birth and death. I take myself as a mortal being. I take subject myself to different different stages of life, or considering myself as having a certain age, etc. All this is, well, this all wrong notions, and this all you are thinking. In the process of thinking, well, basically, so Nididhyasana involves thinking, but in that thinking you are not revealing timeless Atma, you are revealing, basically, you are making yourself free from the notion that I am subject to birth and death. And once you say, well, I am not subject to birth and death, that I am self-revealing consciousness is understood as timeless. Could you follow? This is called Nididhyasanam, and therefore Nididhyasanam involves thinking. And the clarity of your thinking will make the Nididhyasanam effective. This process is going on. I am Nitya, I am timeless, and in between somewhere, person may get a break. 1 minute. So Swamiji said, I am timeless. And he said that time exists in consciousness, but consciousness does not exist in time. And he gave some example. What is that example? Over. So that is how mere Shravanam is not enough. You should have a clarity about yourself. Mananam also is required, or it may create a certain doubt. The process of Nididhyasanam is going on. You are in a process of removing the wrong notion, and you get hitch in between. You get a hitch. Well, but Swamiji said that's correct, but but it looks little impossible. How can I am immortal? How can I am free from mortality, etc.? Consciousness also, I think, you see, I have not asked Swamiji, but anyway, I will ask tomorrow. Now I am sitting in Nididhyasana, but tomorrow I will ask what? That Swamiji, after death, there is no consciousness. One person in Ahmedabad, she was not convinced that there is a consciousness in deep sleep state. She is not convinced. She says, okay, I am conscious in the waking state, it's all right. But how can you say, the consciousness is there in deep sleep state? Could you follow? So, I have explained you, but I have explained her so much. But somehow, well, and some person may get hitched like this also. How can I be there? He says timeless. But after death, well, even though it is death of the body, but with the death of the body, consciousness also dies. Because who knows consciousness is there? Who knows consciousness is there? And therefore, well, I am Nitya, I don't think so. Ho gaya kaam. Start listening. Forget about Nididhyasana. Just forget it. And start listening properly. Because your quality time is, you should have for Nididhyasana a very quality time. In quality time, the doubts are not resolved. Well, in that, then there is no question. Please understand this process, and fortunately tomorrow also I am going to create a headache in the morning, because the same thing is there in Kenopanishad. Same thing is there. I will use a different words there, but only this is to be understood. Well, Atma Jnanam is nothing but the dropping the notions. So all the thoughts don't reveal timeless Atma. all the thoughts don't reveal limitless Atma, limitless consciousness. It is impossible through the thought to reveal limitlessness. And therefore, only thoughts are essential to remove the notions, and that's how Nirvana Shatakam, all the three, in every stanza, all the three lines are basically negation only. And afterwards, what is left over, that has been told in the fourth line, that is Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivam. That, oh Swami, but I would like to now see that I am Chidananda. I would like to see the consciousness, which is fullness through the thought. You are self-revealing. Since you have dropped the notion, now you know yourself, you understood very clearly that you are limitless. Because the limitations which were superimposed on yourself, that is self-revealing Atma, now those notions have been dropped. What is left over is you, the self-revealing Atma, is limitless. That is your understanding. That is not revealed by the thought. Thought only helps to negate what you are not. Thought only helps in Atma Jnanam. It may be Nididhyasanam or it may be Shravanam. Anyway, Shravanam, of course, you are right now in a process to gain a clarity. Mananam and Shravanam. And once it becomes clear and you relieve the teaching, in the relieving the teaching, basically, well, you are dropping the notions. So all the thoughts pertaining to what you are not. Thoughts cannot reveal what Atma is. In fact, thought is revealed by the Atma. The very thought exists in Atma. The thought becomes conscious and becomes Jnanam. Well, it's also definitely, it is Atma. And therefore, thought cannot reveal. So anyway, this is a way I can explain you. So, if you can't understand, we'll discuss. We'll get ample chances to discuss all these issues. Even in the Upanishad it will come, and here also it will come further. Anyway, so Jnatru Jnana Jneya Bhedaha, in form of this Jnata Jnanam. So like Upasana has all the three. Then Upasya Devata and Upasaka are connected in the thought, right? And so the person is meditating on what? Meditating on the Upasya Devata. So if he is meditating on Upasya Devata, the thought of the Upasya Devata should be there. And so therefore all the three are required. Dhyata, Dhyanam and Dheyam. All the three are there. Upasaka is also there. Upasya, the Devata, Ishvara also is there. And a particular form in the mind also is there. But here, in case of Nididhyasanam, this Jnatru Jnana Jnaya Bheda is not there. Such division is not there. Pare Atmani, because basically Gnayam also is consciousness ultimately. I have explained you the process, but we have seen, if you remember, Pratibodha Viditam Matam, Atmani, in that verse we have already, in that mantra, of course, in Kenopanishad, we have discussed the same thing differently. Because all the three are consciousness. The very thought also is a consciousness. Gnayam also, object of knowledge cannot exist without knowledge, that is consciousness. And the knower also cannot exist without consciousness. And therefore, Jnata, Gnayam, and even the thought itself, Jnana Vritti also is because of the consciousness. Anyway, we have discussed that way. But here, we have dealt this thing a little differently. So, well, such division is not there, etc. What kind of a division? This triad is not there in case of Nididhyasanam, because I am being a self-revealing. I don't require a thought to reveal myself. Definitely. Any other, other than me, anything I have to meditate upon, well, definitely I need a thought to reveal that thing. And Upasya Devata also is other than myself. That is how Upasana is possible. And it is other than myself. And well, then since I have to meditate, that form has to be revealed by the thought. And that has to be revealed continuously. That is what the meditation is. Sajatiya Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyaparaha Dhyanam. That is how the definition is. Saguna Brahma Vishaya Manasa Vyaparaha. So, all the thoughts, Manasa Vyapara means activity. Vyapara means activity. Manasa Vyaparaha. So, mental activity. And all the mental activity, that is all the thoughts, has a center on Saguna Brahma, Ishvara. And that Ishvara is definitely Saguna Brahma. Therefore, he is different from me. And then your thought should sustain that particular form all the time. That's how we focus on the Upasya Devata in Upasana. That's how it becomes meaningful, it becomes successful also. There are advantages in terms of getting focused mind or in terms of getting a more subtle mind. And of course, being Upasana, it gives you certain adrushtam punyam also. So anyway, so here it says Pare Atmani, this Jnatru Jnana Jneya Vedaha Pare Atmani na Vidyate. Pare Atmani means in the Paramatmas or in the case of Brahman, this is not required. These divisions are there in Vyavahara, and I am free from the Vyavahara, therefore these divisions are not there. Chidananda Eka Rupatvad, all these three are there in case of, Chidananda, but all the three are basically illumined by the Chidananda, by this consciousness which is self-evident. So it does not require thought to illumine the consciousness. And then doubt, of course, which I have resolved, but let's see once again. If you say that Atma which is self-evident and no thought required to illumine Atma, then Nididhyasanam becomes a thoughtless state. Then we say no, that is not correct. Definitely it involves thinking. And then what kind of a thinking is there in Nididhyasanam, which I have already told you. And I am going to introduce two technical things. Tomorrow morning I will do that. Vritti Vyapti and Phala Vyapti is there. If you remember, it is okay. If you don't remember also, that is okay. But tomorrow morning also we will have the same subject. I will explain you that Phala Vyapti and Vritti Vyapti both are in the morning. Anyway, so in Nididhyasanam, thoughts are definitely entertained to negate all this anatma. Mano, buddhi, ahankara, chittani, naham, etc., etc., etc. So, because already you are taken in the self. I am mind. You are not saying, but you are already taken. I am self-revealing. Atma has already become locus for so many misconceptions. And so the negation itself is a process of thinking in a Nididhyasanam. But then what about this thought Aham Brahmasmi? Well, that Aham Brahmasmi also not for objectifying the Brahman. Basically, that is also meant for negating idea of limitations. When you say you are Brahman, means you are free from limitations. Then you are going to ask me. But you are going to ask a Swami even in Nididhyasanam also. And Swami will come in the Nididhyasanam and tell you that you are free from the limitation of time. You are free from the limitation of space. And then you are free from the limitation of object-wise limitation, physical limitation, intellectual limitation, emotional limitation. You are free from that. And then you have to think further, because it will not go. You will not get just I am free from all the limitations. That's to arrive at that understanding in Nididhyasanam, basically it requires a long process. Time-wise limitation is not there in me, then space-wise limitation is not there in me, and then any object-wise limitation is not there in me, etc. Independently, you have to deal in Nididhyasana. And then ultimately, that same self-revealing I am now is understood as a Brahman, Aham Brahmasmi. This is the process. So Brahman can never become an object. People want, our own sadhakas, they want Brahman to be revealed by thought. So they are all the time trying and doing this and that and going up and seeing up and down and then nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. A limitless Brahman which is free from time, space and any free from all attributes, how can it become an object of thought? And it is self-revealing. Any self-revealing thing cannot become an object of thought, because any object which is object of thought is revealed through the thought, through the mind. So, and therefore, which is self-revealing does not require. And in fact, if person believes that I have seen Brahman, then it's a height of the ignorance. And anyway, so basically, so that's how I explain all these things. And please try to understand it, or you can ask me the questions later. So basically, Aham Brahmasmi also there, any Mahavakya, please understand, any Mahavakya is basically give you understanding through negation. See, take the equation. Aham Brahmasmi, Aham is this individual, and Brahman. I, the individual, how can I equate with Brahman? without negation. Please see. Oh, Swamiji, that is what you taught in Bhagat Tyaga Lakshana. Now you understood? Bhagat Tyaga Lakshana means basically dropping what I am not, right? Dropping all I am not. I am not Sthula Sharira, not Sukshma Sharira, not Karana Sharira, etc. etc. So it starts with negation. Bhagat Tyaga Lakshana. So you get an implied meaning of I as a Brahman by negating what you are not. And therefore, Mahavakya also gives you understanding through neti neti, etc. etc. So that is all a thinking process. What you listen in in a in a class as a Mahavakya Shravanam you have done, and you have arrived at the Jiva Brahma Aikyam, identity between yourself and the Brahman. Well, you have arrived at and you have gone a clarity. Same thing you have to do now in Nididhyasana. You have to negate. Well, I am not an individual. I am not the gross body or the attributes of the gross body, etc. etc. This is what the Nididhyasana, or this is the thought. You are not revealing Brahman there. You are basically negating what you are not. And then, well, I am, you will understood. And after all these things are dropped, you, the self-revealing Atma, is understood as a limitless consciousness. Then that limitless Brahman will, but Swamiji, at that moment I will be able to see that Brahman. Well, where is the question? Again you want to objectify that Brahman. Again the problem will occur. And so basically you understand yourself with a clarity after dropping all the notions and that you are Brahman. Then Nididhyasanam has become fruitful, successful. So idea of that is that is also meant for negating idea of limitation only, aham brahmasmi, etc. also. And so because idea of a localization is so strong, that's another thing. Yeah, see, idea of a localization is very strong. I am here, I am in the body, I am in the body, etc. is so strong. And therefore, I am all pervading. It is very difficult to appreciate. I am all pervading. I mean, as though I have to come out of the body and float and see my body, etc. That will not help. Basically, you have to understand you are not physical body. Try to understand this. If you want to come out of the sense of localization, sense of limitation in terms of space, well, you have to understand this physical body exists in you, not you exist in physical body. Before that, you have to definitely understand that this physical body is not you. First understanding is this, and then says, well, I am consciousness in which the physical body exists. Physical body is within consciousness. And then say, not just this physical body. I am conscious of other physical body. I am conscious of that physical body. I am conscious of that physical body. Means not just this body. All the physical bodies exist in consciousness. Repeat again and again. And then one day you will understand, yeah, I am not localized. Basically, I pervade all the bodies. Like the water pervades all the waves, I, the consciousness, pervades all the bodies, every cell of the body, every nucleus of the body, of each body, I am pervading. Just as every particle in the wave, every dot in the wave is pervaded by the water. Same way I pervade everyone. But so there are 3 steps. First thing is I am not the physical body, and then say, well, then I am consciousness, and I am not the physical body, but how to think? Well, I have already told you. Right? I have already told you when we started, and I have already, before also I have given you some Nididhyasanam, or you may be having independently also what you have. So, if to come out of the sense of look, it is very important to understand you are Brahman means you are all pervasive. How will you pervade everything when you have a sense of localization in one body? So you feel that you are limited here. And so you basically have to think that I am not physical body. I mean, stay with that for some time. And then says, well, I am conscious of the physical body. Physical body exists in consciousness, not just this physical body. I am conscious of this physical body, I am conscious of the physical body which is in the front, I am conscious of the physical body in the side. All the physical body exists in the consciousness, and therefore definitely I am the one who pervades all the physical body, etc., etc., who pervade all the physical bodies. So this is a way you have to think. So it is basically the Nididhyasanam also same thing what we have taught in a manner. The same thing has to be repeated. You can keep the notes in front also. You can always keep certain notes in front, because you will immediately say, Swamiji, I don't remember. But Swamiji, if I keep the notes, I cannot close the eyes. But who told you to close the eyes? You can keep open. I have not told you. But Swamiji, you told one Nididhyasanam and Samadhi Abhyasa Nididhyasanam, there definitely we have to close the eyes. That's okay. But if you are not able to do that and you need notes, etc., well, we have other types of Nididhyasanam, so you can definitely do that way. Anyway, this is just by the way. So, thoughts are required for negation of two things basically. In Nididhyasanam, thoughts are required. Our meditation always with full of thoughts, and that thought not to reveal the Atma. Basically, thoughts are required for negation, and negation of two things. One thing is negation of Anatma, that is especially the bodies, etc., and negation of the attributes of the bodies, etc. Because already we have superimposed. That I am has become a locus for all the superimposition that we call as in the morning we said it is Adhara. And so thoughts are required not for objectifying the Brahman or Atma, but for negation of misconception, etc. I think that is enough. Further I will talk to you tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.